And two of our local councils have banned the use of electronic cigarettes in their offices and buildings. Newcastle Borough and Cheshire East councils will no longer allow them to be used indoors. And it's not just in our area where they're being banned. European legislation is hoping to make them safe. Chris Davies is a Liberal Democrat MEP in the North West and joins us this morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Safe, but definitely not banned. I mean, the whole point of the European legislation is to ensure that they continue to be available, especially to people who are addicted to tobacco smoking, which is very much more dangerous.
So what are you actually looking at in Brussels at the moment?
We're looking to try and... Well, first of all, we're trying to ensure that 28 different governments don't end up with 28 different solutions, many of which want to classify e-cigarettes as pharmaceutical products, and in some countries that would effectively mean you could only buy them in chemists. The alternative position is, look, if 700,000 people are dying of smoking-related diseases, if many of those people who are addicted to nicotine shift instead to e-cigs, we could save many lives. So let's make sure they are just as available as conventional cigarettes.
Would that allow... We've had issues this morning from people who are concerned at councils banning them, and we've heard from some employers too that they're doing it. There's a kind of cynical view that it's because governments aren't making enough tax out of them. Would that change if there was better regulation?
No, I don't think so. Well, it's quite possible they could end up being taxed, but in the same way as any consumer product. I mean, pay VAT on purchases. No, what we're trying to do at the European level is just make sure that they're classified as consumer products and they're safe. That they don't leak, for example, or you don't get electrocuted from them or anything like that. They should be as safe as any other product. And we're putting in an advertising ban, which I think the UK government also wants to introduce, because ultimately you do get... nicotine is addictive, so there is a problem then, because we don't know the very long-term health consequences. But by and large, we want to ensure that these e-cigs are available above all to people who smoke cigarettes.
Are we in a position at the moment where governments nationally and at the EU have been caught on the hop a bit by the popularity of this? Yes,
that's very much the case. There's lots of uncertainties. Most governments in Europe wanted to ban e-cigs or restrict them to the point where there's hardly any nicotine in them, which would take away the point. E-cig users, on the other hand, are growing very rapidly in numbers and are saying that's completely wrong. These things are so much better for my health than the cigarettes I used to be addicted to. So it's members of the Parliament, members of the European Parliament, who've made the big difference. I mean, we've managed to completely overturn the approach being taken by the European Commission and the governments of Europe.
What do you think when you hear of, we've heard pubs, bingo halls, workplaces where it has been banned, the use of them? What do you think to that?
Stuart, I think it has to be done on a case-by-case basis. The trouble is, cigarettes are banned, and e-cigarettes sometimes look like conventional cigarettes, and the vapour that comes from them is likely to be completely harmless and probably not a nuisance to others. But I think it just becomes difficult for a pub owner or indeed the manager of an office if people are banned from using tobacco, but they're seen to be using e-cigs. It's confusing, I think, for them. Even though logically you could take a step back and say, but there's no problem with this.
How soon then can we expect some kind of decision to come from the EU on this?
Well, the legislation on the products, on making sure that on confirming their safety and insisting, for example, that refillable devices don't leak, that's going to be passed within the next couple of months, and it will come in over the next couple of years. But there's going to be no ban from the EU on their use in workplaces. That's up to individual councils, if you like, or indeed individual governments.
Are they right to ban them?
If I was right, I would probably ban them. Yes, simply because I think of the confusion factor. I wouldn't ban them for health reasons. I'd simply say it doesn't seem right that smokers who haven't switched aren't allowed to use their product, their drug of choice, but e-cig users are. At the end of the day, e-cigs are a recreational drug, much safer than tobacco cigarettes, if you like, but nonetheless a recreational drug, and it's not surprising that they might be banned in workplaces.
OK, good to talk to you this morning. Thanks very much, and obviously we'll follow this story as it makes its way through the European Parliament. Chris Davies is a Liberal Democrat MEP for the North West.